Welcome to my channel. My name is Peyman Abdali. I'm here today to share something that has profound meaning for anyone who has ever felt trapped by circumstances beyond their control. Anyone who has wondered if their struggle have purpose, or anyone searching for hope in dark times. Today, we're exploring Viktor Frankl's masterpiece, Man's Search for Meaning, a book born from the depth of human suffering, yet pointing towards the height of human possibility. Viktor Frankl was a brilliant psychiatrist and neurologist living in Vienna when the Nazis rose to power. In 1942, he, his wife, and his parents were deported to concentration camps. By the war's end, everyone in his family except his sister had perished. But here is what makes Frankl's extraordinary. Even in the camps, surrounded by unimaginable horror, he observed something remarkable about human nature. He noticed that some prisoners, despite facing identical circumstances, maintained their dignity, their hope, their humanity, while others did not. The observation became the foundation of his revolutionary approach to psychology called logotherapy, literally therapy through meaning. The book you're about to hear summarized was written in just 9 days in 1946. It has since sold over 10 million copies and been translated into dozens of languages. Why? Because Frankl discovered something universal about the human condition that transcends any particular suffering. The central insight. Frankl's central insight is this: everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedom, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. He observed that survival in the camps wasn't determined by physical strength, luck, or even privilege. It was determined by those who found meaning in their suffering, who had a reason to live, who could envision a future worth surviving for. The three sources of meaning. Frankl identified three fundamental sources of meaning in life. First, creating a work or doing a deed. This is about contributing something to the world through our work, our art, our service to others. For Frankl, it was his desire to complete his manuscript on logotherapy that helped sustain him. He literally rewrote his book in his mind while in the camps, using scraps of paper when he could find them. For your listening today, whether you're an artist, a parent, an entrepreneur, or someone still discovering their path, this means finding ways to contribute, to create, to give something of value to the world. Second, experiencing values. This is about encountering something or someone we love, experiencing beauty, truth, love, nature, human connection. Even in the camps, Frankl writes about prisoners who found meaning in a sunset, in helping a fellow prisoner, in maintaining their dignity despite degradation. The profound truth here is that meaning doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes it is found in the smallest acts of love, in appreciating beauty wherever we find it, in connecting authentically with another human being. Third, the attitude we take towards unavoidable suffering. This is perhaps Frankl's most revolutionary insight. When we cannot change our circumstances, we can still choose our response to them. Suffering becomes meaningful when we transform it into a personal triumph, when we grow through it rather than diminished by it. Frankl writes, in some ways, suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning. The will to meaning. Unlike Freud's will to pleasure or Adler's will to power, Franklin proposed that humans are primarily driven by a will to meaning, a deep need to find significance in our existence. He observed that those who survived the camps were not necessarily the physically strongest, but those who had something to live for, a love for one to reunite with, a project to complete, a mission to fulfill. Logotherapy in practice. Logotherapy doesn't aim to eliminate suffering. That's often impossible. Instead, it helps us find meaning within our suffering. It asks not, why is this happening to me, but how can I respond to this in a way that gives my life meaning? This shift in perspective from victim to victor, from passive sufferer to active responder, is transformative. The existential vacuum. Frankl also identified what he called the existential vacuum, the feeling of meaninglessness that plagues many people, especially in wealthy, developed societies. When our basic needs are met, we often find ourselves asking, is this all there is? He argued that many modern problems, depression, anxiety, addiction, stem from this lack of meaning rather than from psychological complexes or chemical imbalances alone. Personal reflection. As someone who has experienced displacement, who has watched opportunities disappear due to forces beyond my control, who has felt the frustration of circumstances that seemed to block every path forward, Frankl's message resonates deeply. We live in times when many of us feel powerless, whether facing economic sanctions, political upheavals, personal setbacks, or global uncertainties. It is to feel like victims of forces too large to comprehend, let alone control. But Frankl reminds us that even in the darkest circumstances, we retain the most fundamental human freedom, the freedom to choose our response. When I create music, when I share these ideas with you, when I continue to hope for a better future despite current realities, these are choices. They are my way of asserting meaning in the face of meaninglessness, of creating light in darkness. For you listening today, wherever you are in your journey, whatever challenges you're facing, the question isn't whether your circumstances are fair or unfair. The question is, how will you respond? What meaning will you create from your experience? What will you contribute to the world, even if, especially if, the world seems to be working against you? Viktor Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning isn't just a book about surviving extreme circumstances. It's a manual for living fully, regardless of what life throws at us. If this summary resonated with you, I encourage you to read the full book. It's relatively short but profoundly impactful. And please, share your thoughts in the comments. What gives your life meaning? How have you found purpose in difficult times? Next week, I'll be sharing a book that explores how we can maintain hope and creativity even when the world seems to be falling apart. Until then, remember, your circumstances don't define you. Your response to them does. Thank you for your listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.